Hey, Stephen Veach here with Dining Behind the Mask. That's hashtag Dining Behind the Mask, hashtag Coping with COVID, and hashtag Restaurant20, the only podcast where we interview small businesses, restaurant owners, restaurant managers, people that know a lot about the restaurant industry, and talk about how we are best going to stay present and move forward. I'm very excited today on this third episode. We have a great guest. I've known him for a very long time. He is a general manager at Chama Gaucha, certainly one of the best Brazilian steakhouses in existence, in my humble opinion. And Chama Gaucha, Chama Flame, Gaucha is the tradition. It could also be translated as passion for the tradition, the flame representing the passion, of course. Chama Gaucha is a Brazilian steakhouse, and they have 4 locations. There's 2 in Texas, San Antonio and Houston. They also have a great location in Atlanta that I've been to. And they have their Chicago location, which is actually Chicagoland. It's very conveniently located, 3008 Finley Road, Downers Grove, Illinois. And they are currently open for curbside pickup and patio dining. So joining me, I'm very excited to introduce Mr. Ronieri Moreira. He is the general manager of Chama Gaucha Chicago. So Ronnie, go ahead and introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about your restaurant.
Hi, my name is Ronieri Moreira. I'm in Brazil. I've been enjoying this company for the past 12 years. I started the company in San Antonio in 2008. And a year later, I got an opportunity to move it to Chicago, open a new location. In that case, it was a second location for a company. And in the beginning, we have a lot of challenge, because the building used to be out of 2 Brazilian steakhouses before we move it to this location. And was very challenging. A lot of people curious about it, who we are, and make sure we're not gonna fail like other 2 Brazilian steakhouse. And we make it the best we could, and now we're here for the last 10 years. So it's a great accomplishment to be in the business for the last 10 years, but it was a lot on hard work, between all these past years.
Mm-hmm. And you've been there the whole entire time. I mean, when did you guys take over that building? Was that 2010 or 11?
That was back in 2009. Was back 2009. Yeah, first day we opened this location was November 4, 2009. Yes, I'm here from day one. And I enjoy so much to be here. It was a big change for me coming from Rio de Janeiro. After being spent a year in San Antonio, the weather's really hot all year long, and was a little different for me in the beginning. Deal with all the this weather change, but I think I kind of enjoy a lot to be it for the change. It was a great change.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I mean, we'll get into that, in terms of, later, but one of the things I have to capture right off the bat is everything that, for the listeners that he just said. I mean, that is so true. Every time that you go into that restaurant, and I've been going there since 2011, regularly since 2015. And let me just tell you, I mean, the passion for this tradition that I see in you and I see in your staff it's amazing. The level of consistency and I've said that to you before, that you guys have is incredible. I mean, every experience that I've had there is incredible. So thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast, and thank you, obrigado in Portuguese, for delivering such a great experience every time. Now, I've been to Chicago and I've been to the one in Atlanta, and it was kind of funny because when I went to the one in Atlanta, your coworker, your co-manager, Masio, he was visiting there too, and I didn't expect to see him there. And some of the people at the Atlanta one have also worked. They trained first here at this one. because the Atlanta one, what was the order that they opened in? The first one was Houston?
Yeah, the first one was San Antonio. San
Oh, San
Antonio was
Antonio. Okay.
our first location. Chicago was the second, and Houston was the third, and Atlanta was the fourth location.
Okay, because when I started going there, I don't think the Atlanta one it wasn't open yet, and I remember um, this must have been like I think it was either for one of my birthdays or maybe one of my initial college graduations, and we went there, and I remember you were there, and there was another manager doesn't work there anymore that was also there, but I definitely remember before I went, I was looking at some of the videos that were online at the time, and I remember that I think it was one of the Texas locations, one of the managers there. I think his name, I think his name was like Long Fu, I think. And he was talking about how you can eat till your heart's content, or he literally said you can eat till you burst, either way. And I thought that was so cool, like to have, the way they explain the experience. And it was on a news program. I think that video might still be, it might still be online. It was, I think, one of the Texas, news outlets online still has that video up. But go ahead and explain a little bit for people who don't know, what is just the basic rundown of the experience when guests come to Chama Gaucha?
Well, once the guests come and enjoy Chama Gaúcha, it's one of the real authentic Brazilian steakhouse. You experience the original way of the gauchos, how they serve the meats, how they prepare. And especially for the last few years, so many Brazilian steakhouses doing different things as far grill, different type of grill. Someone uses gas grill, someone uses a charcoal grill. The items, the people, some of them change. As far as I know, here it's still very original. The way, the simplest way to doing a great barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guests coming to a Brazilian steakhouse at Chama Gaúcha, they really experience a great quality serve on meat, food. They really enjoy. It's something really. It's really hard with these days. You go and a Brazilian steakhouse and have the unique experience, and
Yeah,
we able to keep and provide that kind of quality and service for the last 10 years. So it's a huge for us. That's what the guests will respect anytime they come into our Brazilian steakhouse.
mm-hmm. And you and I had a great conversation about how you said that the average guest for this type of restaurant comes twice a year. And so consistency becomes even more important when you're delivering such a celebratory, iconic experience. And if you change too much or even at all, they're going to notice that. And so you want to deliver that premier prime experience every single time. Now, you started along with the management team. You began doing pickup curbside, and you implemented it in a very, very effective, safe way. I purchased that several times. You have you have your parking spots, and it's still. I definitely applaud you for still doing that. You give guests options to go with something that never really existed in Brazilian steakhouses, but now it's still an option. For the time being, there's parking spots that are labeled as curbside pickup, but now you've opened for outdoor patio dining, and you weren't, this isn't something that's easy to pull off. In fact, I would say that for a Brazilian steakhouse to pull this off, it's probably one of the hardest things to do, like as far as types of restaurants. The only thing I could think of that might be more challenging is a Korean barbecue restaurant, because they're not gonna be able to get their special tables with the grill inside of them outside. But talk a little bit about like what was the most challenging thing that you had to accomplish in these last few weeks as far as setting up outdoor dining?
Yeah, I think the big change was understanding all things happen this moment, what we need to go to do for next step. as far as keeping the business open, keep provide the quality of food that we offer, the quality of serve was a big confusion for us. How we're gonna do this? Literally bring a restaurant to outside. It's totally different being inside. And then we started talking about other manage for other location, what we should do, to keeping the business open, how we should do to, just saying to the customer, we here. And then we put a last minute, we've been talking, what are we gonna put in on the tent outside? And I saw a few restaurants on the street. They created a tent. And then so we started search, and in the last minute we found the one nice tent. It's 30 to 75 feet, and then thank you for one of the company help us to put this together in the last minute, and everything come out. I mean, great. We able to serve 80% the quality inside. We definitely have to make some change at the salad bar, the way we serve the salad bar. We make a few change. But once the Brazilian Steakhouse, I mean, we all offer beautiful salad bar, but the majority of people really interested to enjoy the meats, all the steak, especially the unique cut, like the prime sirloin. Bottom sirloin is so hard to find in other restaurants. So was so thankful we were able to put this together, and it's worked so far. Yeah, we can't complain.
Oh, it's worked great. I mean, I've been there. So I came with my girlfriend that first night. I didn't make it for lunch, but I came that first Friday that you were open. And you sent me, you said, hey, we're open. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go there. And then I came again by myself just to kind of like really observe and take in the experience to prepare for this. And then I just came again with her last night. And right from the start, I mean, I've been exploring other outdoor dining of different types of restaurants. And what you are truly able to pull off, I'm so fascinated by this, because I've been to other restaurants that they're still struggling even with only a few tables outside, and it's and I get it, it's stressful times, but your restaurant, Chama Gaucha, not only is it just as good as it's always been, it's literally just like Chama Gaucha outside edition, but it was just as good from the start. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was that your staff, these people that I haven't seen, for a very long time, they are, I mean, obviously they're all wearing masks, and they're wearing masks correctly. You see some people, I went to the post office and I saw people wearing the mask on their mouth, but their nose is like out, no, your staff they're wearing masks constantly. They're bussing tables with, they've got gloves, and they bring you a new plate. You have tablecloths, and then when you take the tablecloth off, you also sanitize and disinfect the table underneath the cloth, the chairs. The tables are definitely at least 6 feet apart, and it's open air dining. And then you have the door with the fan, and you've got the bathroom access, but it's blocked off so that people know, okay, the bathrooms are here. It's literally the best, the safest, and the most enjoyable. And I'm not just saying that because I love Brazilian steakhouses. It's literally the most enjoyable, because the secret to a good restaurant experience is, I would say, at least 66% about, do you feel taken care of? And your staff has, even with the stress of the pandemic, that first day that I came for dinner, it was incredible at how everybody was smiling. Like, you can, even though they're wearing a mask, they're smiling, they're happy, like, hey, welcome back. Everybody is in a good mood. Everybody is happy to be there. And if you can, talk a little bit about what is the mindset, especially as, being the number one in charge as a manager of this kind of restaurant. Talk a little bit about the mindset of how you get ready to reopen and begin a busy shift. How do you stay as positive and present as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people, I'm here for the day one. We have a lot of relationship with the customer coming in. They want to know how's your family doing. we kind of know each other for this time. And the fun thing is, a lot of people ask me, you, if I'm the manager. I say, no, I'm not a manager, I'm a psychologist. Because literally to deal with a lot of those business today, you needed to understand how, how the people mind works, especially
Mhm.
being a restaurant for the last, I've been in restaurant last 15 years. So I pretty much, I did a little bit of everything in the restaurant. I kind of put in myself in their shoes and try to understand it on, how they feel about it, the business, how they feel in certain days. I really observe, my staff daily by day. Once they walk to the door for work, the way you tell them good morning, good afternoon, the way they respond, you literally you see if anything is wrong. So when I, try to find out anything wrong, I just try to talk to them, and make they feel better. That is something I will be able to help as a person. I'll try. Uh,
Mhm.
but I think that, the way I deal with my team, it's really uh, professional, friendly, and also we spend a lot of time together. We needed to act like a family. So I think it worked pretty much for the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. And so as far as the menu, and it's literally the same menu, and the only difference is the salad bar. Now, the interesting thing about this is, in talking to you and some of the servers, and with my own observations, a lot of people will, especially with certain items on the salad bar, they will take a lot of food, but they probably won't finish it in a normal situation, or they see the meats and they decide they just want to kind of move on. But what's interesting now, as sort of a secondary, like a side effect of the way that you're now serving the salad, which is essentially, guests have several of the most popular options. And I really like the way that you implemented it, because you have essentially two of like salads, like two normal, like Caesar salad, spring mix. Then you have more of the cold side items that traditionally go with barbecue. You got some chicken salad, you got tabbouleh, and then you have some whole food like vegetables, like broccoli, asparagus, and that narrows it down more. So what I found is it almost makes it almost like re-specializes the experience when you go there, because I'm so used to like the normal way that I enjoy the food. But the way the salad is now, I find myself enjoying the even though it's basically the same menu, I enjoy it in a slightly different way. And I just think that that's really cool. And the reason that this is important is because I'm pretty sure that I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that even when you do reopen your dining room, some of that may still have to be in effect, at least for a certain period of time. As far as if you reopen, would the salad bar also be reopened? Or is, because I think there still could be restrictions on self service, correct?
Yeah, that's according to, all the news. We just kind of, try to check daily, daily. Every time, I feel like something changed, but definitely Salaba will be one of the most challenging situation for all the, for the restaurants to offer the salad bar, on how they're gonna, follow the guideline and have a salad bar open. So I think the most effect on our business will be the salad bar for the reopen indoor. You're gonna be it's gonna be really challenging. And the main thing is like it's so hard to make some of the guests understand, at all the restaurant, 90% of the restaurants when they reopen, either be a Brazilian steakhouse or any other different restaurant, won't be the same. It's really uh, the customer and the staff, the manager, the whole business is gonna change. So
Mhm.
it's gonna be a while until people realize, things change. I hope it does affect much the change, but definitely 90% of the restaurant is gonna change when they reopen, and the whole aspect. It's in our case, the salad bar, some of the restaurants, emotional people are still hurting. It's gonna take a while until we get back to the normal. If we're
Right.
back to the normal and the basic daily on the restaurant.
Well, it's funny. Before I move to the next question, I'll share a personal experience. When I had the first bite, right? When I sat down that first Friday at your outdoor dining, and I love the way you guys have it set up. The way the door is sort of that back, what used to be an emergency exit door is now like the access point. And I had the picanero come by, right? I have the Brazilians, we call this the primero corte, the first cut of the prime part of the top sirloin. And when I had that first bite of picanha, I looked around and I said, you know what? Even if everything doesn't go back to normal, this is normal enough for me. I don't have I don't have SARS-2 yet. I'm healthy, and I'm here with my girlfriend, and we got the picanha. So that's really good when you can get that kind of, and that's what's so unique about your restaurant is that to me, it's kind of three things in one. It's like you get great food, some of the best food, if not the best food I've ever eaten. You get that, but then you also get the experience and the nostalgia. I remember all the years that I've been going there, and then you also get that feeling of like, it reorients you. It's like, okay, it's like a second home to me, second home to me. And that's really what's so unique about your restaurant. And that goes with the atmosphere. And I feel like the atmosphere inside, that's a tall order to try to match that outside. But I think you guys have pulled it off because of the way the tables are laid out and the way that you're sort of eating, that you kind of are up against that side of the building that normally that side of the building is not really used. The side that you're using, that's for valet parking. Wasn't it normally for valet parking?
Yeah, they have a few spots on the side, like for parking. On the busy night, the valet uses those spots, but in the base, the regular night, just the guests park in their own car on the side. So pretty much that, is not being used for, does affect the restaurant inside that spot if you don't have it. So it was a great spot. It is a great spot.
Yeah, and you kind of get to see the restaurant in a whole different angle because you're eating. Like I really like where they sat us because I like to eat against the restaurant because you get like the bricks, like the side of the restaurant. You get to see the logo, the Chama Gaucha logo, and it's just such a cool. It's just an awesome experience. And then you have the torches, which look nice, and they also reduce the I didn't have any bugs. It was really well implemented. And you definitely, I remember you said that you got lucky, you got the last tent. And I believe that I saw in the picture you sent me that you guys set it up yourself. You set everything up yourself. And everything was just so well done. And how many days did it take you to do that?
Well, this is the day they start, just take it a day. The company started 10. We gotta go through the approval for Donuts Grove, the fire chief, and when he say yes, we start announcement. Okay, tomorrow we open. Tomorrow we, back in track. So what's very depend on basically take about a day to get everything done for to open. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I've noticed, when I went to the one in Atlanta, I noticed it there. I've seen like the dining room of Houston and San Antonio, and while they look a little different, they have some different design changes. They all have a very old school, traditional Brazilian steakhouse feel. Like you get that feeling that it's like kind of a little bit darker, dramatic. Like you get that nice feeling, like it's relaxing, but it also has that sense of like this is going to be a special experience. Like you just know from when you sit down, this is going to be a special experience. And one of the things I think that is really cool is because your company only has it's 4 locations, so it's not like you have 30 locations. So the locations can each be a little bit, the meats are going to be the same, but they're going to have a little bit, might have a slight different couple additional menu items that are more unique to that location. And I remember when I went to Atlanta, this obviously dining in, they had garlic bread on the salad bar, and that was like that killed me because I love garlic bread, and then I feel like half of what I ate was just garlic bread. And then they had the feijoada up there, and you guys, you have some with the chiles toreados is a very popular request item here that is very frequently made. And I want to say that one of the locations in Texas, I believe I was told that they have a hush carretero.
Yeah, pretty much. It's funny. It's like I spend the time in different states, and every place you go, like you make it some change according to your clientele, and something work in one place, something doesn't work in the other place. I think when you figure that out, what's most popular in search places, I think you kind of make some few adjustments,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a lot of response for for your local guests. Especially
Mm-hmm.
we have a location in the subs. It's completely different if you have a location downtown because their
Yes.
clientele is total different. So we kind of think if we put our location together, we kind of make a few a change, and very unique for each place, each state, let's say that way. And I think it's been
Mhm.
worked pretty well. And every place, every Chama that I worked before, people love and all the items they have in the search place. That's awesome.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll share on that, and this is a fine detail for listeners who are like me and they appreciate the fine details. And I did produce a sort of a feature video of Chama Gaucha Atlanta. It's on my YouTube channel. I did that several years ago, and I commented on it there as well. And in addition from these little changes, um, this just shows how well that you all of your restaurants teams have the food just perfected, like down to a T, down to a science. Everything at Shamagosha Atlanta, right? And I don't just mean the meats. I mean the meats, the cheese bread, the side dishes, everything in Atlanta had a little bit less, and I have a very sensitive tongue, had a little bit less salt than the Chicago location. And I asked about that, and they told me that that's like you said, that's a clientele thing. There's people that they've noticed that people say, hey, it's too salty. They decided to reduce the salt, and we're not talking about just like oh, hey, can I have a piece that's not salty, and they go and make a no. I mean universally. Like I sat down, I put the first piece of pão de queijo in my mouth, the cheese bread. I said it. I remember I said it on the camera. I was talking to my friend. I said, you know what? It's like the same recipe but less salt, and I noticed it right away. And that just shows you how high quality control they have over the food. And I think that that's something I definitely wanted to comment on here. And what's cool about this is that because you've allowed for and purposely maintained these slight differences, intentional differences between these four locations, that was a good skill to have because now that's important in a situation where different states, not just about the clients and what they want, different states have different rules in effect. So with Downers Grove, your Chicago location, outdoor dining is applicable to Illinois right now. I don't think any of the other Shamagoshas are doing that right now, right? Because they don't need to.
Yeah, pretty much now, because once they're in different states, every state have a different guideline, and we're the only one doing outside dining.
Right,
So
right.
far, it's been a great experience. Sometimes I look back, I couldn't believe we were able to do this, and then we did. So it was great. It was great, the challenge to make a change. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've come there quite a lot recently, and just like because I missed it so much because I hadn't it's been closed since mid March, and then I think the last time I was there was in February. So a year or so ago, a couple years back, I was going there every week. So it was like I hadn't had it in a long time. And then I remember you messaged me and you said, "Oh, we're open." And at first you weren't sure if, how you were going to implement this, if you were going to implement it. And then I'm like, "Oh my gosh," I saw the picture of the tent and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to come there. I'm going to come there tomorrow." Now, the last point I want to talk about is, as far as, when you will reopen your dining room, talk a little bit about that. As far as, you guys already have such like one of the highest standards as far as keeping your restaurant clean. Everything is so sanitary. Just to give the listeners who haven't been there an idea, like, if there's a guest at their salad bar, the staff, this is a very old school skill that people who work at Brazilian steakhouses learn. And I worked at one too, and I learned this is very important. As soon as you see a concern, like as soon as you hear a tong drop, you run and replace that tong, before anybody can, put it somewhere. And there's such a high standard of sanitation and guest satisfaction. So building off of that, you guys already do such a good job with that. What additional things are you going to do when you open the dining room to make sure that it's safe?
Yeah, pretty much. When we reopen in the dining room, we carefully it's gonna go through all the guideline based on the government. So pretty much, as far as I know, all the guideline, it's being very successful for us right now at the patio. The only thing we change when we move into inside, pretty much will be the salad bar still, and everything else we just we're gonna figure it out really quick because we already been doing this outside.
Right.
The only change if we have it to put at the salad bar again, we're gonna figure it out how we serve the guests. Definitely they can't stand at the salad bar and follow all this, 6 feet, all the guideline. So I think we're ready for moving on inside because we've been doing all the guideline outside. It's pretty much
Yeah.
the guideline will be the same
Okay.
as far as table space, amount of people per table. So I think the guests coming in when we open inside, they will respect to really see a great coordination by the team. Make sure everybody's
Excellent.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is an interesting point. If you want to comment on this, this is interesting. So a lot of restaurants, I'll say some restaurants, I don't know have like the official statistics, but it's something that I've been hearing being talked about, is they're putting surcharges and raising prices specifically due to the pandemic, which at least partly it's understandable because there could be supply shortages with certain things. They've lost money. You guys have not done that. Why have you decided not to do that?
Basically, we was closed for the past 3 months, but we've been doing this business here for the last 10 years. We feel very strong to recover, that loss for the past 3 months because of the clientele being a lot of a good responder for us. We just have to be patient. I think this year it's going to be very challenging for the business owner and especially the restaurant industry, to recover from this for this crazy time. And some people feel comfortable to charge, some people don't. So
Right.
it's hard to say who's right, who's wrong.
Right.
But I think on our side, we feel very comfortable to recover on this. And also this year, I think the main thing this year being as a business, being alive. I think that's the goal. I think if you be alive with this year, it's a big profit already.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Very well said. Very well said, Ronnie. I agree with you 110%. And I think it's just a very positive outlook to have. And I think that some of the changes that we've discussed, are going to kind of help with that anyway. I mean, I think that the way that you've done the salad bar, for example, you focused on the most popular items. There's less waste. You don't have to worry so much about, it helps, busing. It just kind of helps everything. It streamlines the experience a little bit. And just that small change, you still pretty much get, I guess you could say, okay, there's 10%, if you're like, oh man, I miss hearts of palm, for example, palmito, but you still get the core experience. You still get everything you want and you crave when you go in there. And I think that the 10% arguably, that the 10% that might be not there is more than made up for with how well everything else works. And that's why I cannot recommend enough, cannot understate for all the listeners, please check out Chama Gaucha Brazilian Steakhouse. It's in Downers Grove. On their website, it's called Chicago. Location, it is in Downers Grove. It is located off Finley and Butterfield Road. So it's right off of the I-88, I-355 junction. Very conveniently located. And go ahead and what is the phone number for your restaurant if they have any questions?
Yeah, basically the address at 3008 Finley Road, Downers Grove. Their phone number is 630-324-6002.
Excellent. And right now the seating, the outdoor seating is first come, first serve still, correct?
Yeah, because we have very limited amount of table, so we do first come, first serve.
Yeah.
If anyone that you like to enjoy this restaurant for outside dine, it's first come, first serve, but if you want to call ahead and make sure we have a waiting time or anything like that, it's more than welcome also.
Yeah, it's kind of the best of both worlds. And honestly, for anyone listening who is concerned with not reservations, because when this first started, I was thinking that reservations would be the safer way, but I actually have changed my perspective on that. I have seen restaurants that are doing the reservation only, and it's actually kind of not been working so well. I'm not going to mention them, of course, but it's not been working so well. I'm not sure why. I think part of it has to do with you don't always have, some restaurants don't have their full staff. It's based on what they need. There's not as many people answering phones. They might not be using their computers. I'm not sure what, but it's definitely been, the other issue with reservations is it's hard to predict, when you have your full dining room available, it's not as much of an issue unless it's Saturday night. It's not as much of a problem if people stay a little bit longer, but when you have a capacity limitation, that changes everything. So I think that what you guys are doing is definitely the right way to go. What is I want to get as many people to go as possible. What do you charge for lunch on the weekdays, weekday lunch?
Lunch is $36.95 per person.
Yeah, and I want to end right there with that point, because there's a lot of people that think that Brazilian steakhouses are very expensive. And let me tell you, especially if you're a foodie like me, pretty much any restaurant you go to, you're going to at least be spending that much by the time you have an appetizer and maybe you want to try a couple things. Chama Gaucha, you're going to get more than enough food. It's the only place where you can get more food while you're getting more food for $36. So please check out Chama Gaucha in Downers Grove, or if you live in Atlanta or Texas, there's locations there too. Ronnie, stick around. I will say goodbye to you properly, formally. And for everybody else, please like and more importantly, share this. Share this on Facebook. I'm going to have it on YouTube as well. Even share it on LinkedIn, because I think that this is going to be something that I want guests, foodies, people that want to go back out, that they're not sure what it's going to look like. But I also want other small business owners and restaurant managers to hear this, people in the food industry. I think this is a very interesting conversation that I fully intend to continue. So Ronnie, thank you so much for being one of our first guests. It's been great. And thank you so much for years of enjoyment. Do you remember the red and green chip that you get to control the meat service? Probably 2011. 2011, I was leaving the restaurant and I asked you, I said, do you mind if I take one of these? And you told me, oh, sure, go ahead. But do you remember what you said?
Yes, sometimes I really joke. A lot of people they try to take all this card, the red, the green. At home, always I tell you, the only place this card works is here in this restaurant. One time I tried taking it at home, my wife almost killed me. So be careful anytime you try to take this at home, please.
Well, I'm a special education teacher. I specialize in emotional and behavior disorders, and sort of the students know it's a joke, but I actually have one of the cards taped to my desk on the red side. So if they get too loud, I just point to that. And we're on red right now.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Ronnie. We are going to go
Thank you
ahead and
very much.
end the podcast here. I'll say goodbye to you proper. Everybody else, take care, stay safe, and let's cope together with COVID.